Please welcome Jory Pai, a digital transformation executive and today's keynote speaker.
Good evening. Thank you. Now, let me begin with a confession. I have attended a lot of enterprise AI meetings, and they almost always start the same way. An executive walks into the room and says, "We need an AI strategy." But 20 minutes later, we discover that the company has 17 versions of the customer, 40-year-old business rules written in COBOL, 3 cloud platforms, 6 integration tools, and 1 application named New System that was built in 1998. And somewhere in the organization, there is one person named Gary who understands how everything works. Gary is 64. Gary has no documentation. And Gary is starting to ask suspiciously specific questions about retirement. That is when everyone realizes this is not just an AI problem. It is a modernization problem. My central message today is simple. AI does not fix legacy systems. It exposes them. AI exposes fragmented data. It exposes brittle integrations. It exposes undocumented processes. It exposes years of technology decisions that made sense individually, but became expensive collectively. And most importantly, it exposes the gap between what executives want the business to do and what the current technology environment can actually support. Right now, nearly every enterprise wants to become AI-driven. They want intelligent customer service, predictive operations, automated decisions, AI-assisted development, personalized experiences, and productivity improvements everywhere. But many organizations are trying to build an intelligent enterprise on top of an environment that was never designed to be understood, even by humans. It is like installing a self-driving system in a 1987 station wagon. The AI may be impressive, but the brakes are still from 1987, and there is a cassette tape stuck in the dashboard. The problem is not that legacy technology is automatically bad. Some legacy systems are incredibly reliable. They process billions of dollars. They support critical infrastructure. They have survived mergers, reorganizations, outsourcing agreements, insourcing agreements, and at least 6 CIOs. The problem is that many organizations no longer understand which parts of the environment are valuable, which are merely old, and which are actively preventing the business from moving forward. So they make one of 2 mistakes. The first mistake is doing nothing. The second is trying to modernize everything. Both are expensive. One creates paralysis. The other creates a 5-year transformation program with 11 work streams, 36 steering committees, 400 PowerPoint slides, and no measurable business outcome until year 3. By year 3, the executive sponsor has left, the strategy has changed, and the program is renamed. Now it is called Transformation 2.0. Modernization programs rarely fail because the organization cannot buy technology. Enterprises are excellent at buying technology. Sometimes, buying technology is the only part of the strategy everyone agrees on. Modernization fails because organizations start with the platform instead of the problem. They begin with, "We are moving to the cloud. We are adopting Kubernetes. We are implementing generative AI." But those are technology decisions. They are not business outcomes. The better questions are, what business capability is being constrained? What does that constraint cost us? What risk does it create? What revenue does it prevent? What customer experience does it damage? What decision takes 3 weeks that should take 3 minutes? Because if you cannot explain why the modernization matters in business terms, the program eventually becomes an expensive technical cleanup exercise. And technical cleanup is important, but it is difficult to get a board excited about cleaner middleware. I have tried. There is no dramatic way to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we reduced duplicate API gateways." Although there probably should be. The first thing leaders must understand is that modernization is not one decision. It is a portfolio of decisions. Every application does not deserve the same investment. Some systems should be retained. Some should be retired. Some should be replaced. Some should be replatformed. Some should be refactored, and a small number should be completely reinvented because they represent something strategically important to the business. The mistake is treating every application as equally valuable simply because it exists. Some applications are competitive differentiators. Others are digital houseplants. Nobody remembers buying them. Nobody knows who owns them. But everyone is afraid to stop watering them. A strong modernization strategy connects every technology decision to four things: business value, technology health, operational risk, future strategic relevance. That allows you to stop asking, how old is the application? And start asking, what role should this application play in the future of the business? That is a much more useful conversation. To make this practical, I use a simple framework called MOVE. M, map the business value. Before discussing platforms, map the business capabilities. What does the system enable? Which customers, employees, products, or operations depend on it? What happens when it slows down? What happens when it fails? What would become possible if it were improved? This changes modernization from a technology inventory into a value conversation. O, organize the portfolio. Once value is understood, organize the application portfolio. Retain what is stable and appropriate. Retire what no longer provides value. Replace commodity capabilities. Replatform selectively. Refactor where architecture is limiting the business. Reinvent the capabilities that create competitive differentiation. This is where leaders must have the courage not to modernize everything. The objective is not to create the newest possible technology estate. The objective is to create the most effective one. V, validate AI readiness. Before placing AI into a business process, validate whether the environment can support it. Is the data complete? Is it current? Is it governed? Can the AI access the right information? Can it explain where the answer came from? Are there security boundaries? Can a human intervene? Can the organization monitor what the AI is doing? Because an AI agent connected to poorly governed enterprise data does not become more intelligent. It simply makes mistakes faster and with greater confidence. And now the mistake has a pleasant voice. E, execute in value increments. Finally, execute in measurable increments. Do not ask the organization to wait 3 years to see whether the transformation worked. Deliver value in 90 to 180-day increments. Reduce the processing time. Retire the first group of applications. Improve developer productivity. Automate a high-friction workflow. Decrease infrastructure cost. Improve customer response time. Make the progress visible. Transformation programs build momentum when the business can see, measure, and believe the results. The technology case may initiate a modernization conversation. The economic case is what sustains it. A credible business case should include more than infrastructure savings. In fact, infrastructure savings alone are often not enough to justify a meaningful transformation. The larger value may come from faster product launches, reduced operational failure, lower regulatory exposure, improved employee productivity, better customer retention, shorter decision cycles, reduced dependency on scarce technical skills, and the ability to introduce AI into processes where it can generate measurable value. This is especially important because AI changes the modernization business case. Historically, organizations could tolerate fragmented systems because employees acted as the integration layer. People copied information between applications. They reconciled records. They interpreted inconsistent fields. They knew which report was wrong and which spreadsheet was unofficially correct. AI cannot reliably automate a process that the organization itself cannot clearly define. So AI readiness is not simply a model selection exercise. It is an organizational clarity exercise. The companies that will generate the most value from AI will not necessarily be the companies with access to the best models. Most enterprises will have access to similar models. The advantage will come from what surrounds the model: the quality of the data, the design of the process, the strength of the integrations, the clarity of the governance, and the speed at which the organization can turn intelligence into action. I will leave you with 5 questions. If you are leading an AI, cloud, or application modernization program, your team should be able to answer them clearly. First, which business capabilities are currently constrained by legacy technology? Not which applications are old, which business capabilities are constrained. Second, which systems create competitive differentiation and which are simply expensive to maintain? Those should not receive the same strategy. Third, what must be modernized before AI can produce trusted outcomes? Data, integration, security, workflow, governance, or perhaps all five? Fourth, what measurable value will the organization see in the first 6 months? If the answer is only, we will establish the foundation, keep asking questions. Foundations are important, but nobody celebrates moving into a foundation. Fifth, who owns the transformation after the consultants leave? Because a modernization program that depends permanently on external heroes is not modernization. It is a subscription. Let me return to where we started. The executive walks into the room and says, "We need an AI strategy." That may be true, but before choosing the model, buying the platform, or launching the next transformation program, we should ask a more important question. Is the enterprise ready to act intelligently? Because AI layered onto fragmented technology does not automatically create transformation. Sometimes it creates a faster, more expensive version of the same confusion. The real opportunity is larger. Modernization gives an organization the ability to simplify how it operates, understand its information, connect its capabilities, and make better decisions at speed. AI then becomes an amplifier. It amplifies clarity. It amplifies good architecture. It amplifies well-designed processes. It amplifies the ability of the business to respond, learn, and compete. But it also amplifies disorder. So, the work is not simply to make legacy systems newer. The work is to make the enterprise ready for what comes next. The winners of the AI era will not necessarily be the companies with the biggest models, the largest budgets, or the most impressive demonstrations. They will be the companies that can connect intelligence to execution faster than everyone else. And that begins not with AI, but with the courage to understand what you already have, decide what the future requires, and finally, move. Thank you.